When I asked my 80,000 followers on LinkedIn what they wanted me to talk about on YouTube, the #1 answer by far was SEO and AI and how AI is gonna impact the SEO space. So in this video, I'm gonna give my take on how I think AI is already impacting SEO and how it will likely impact SEO in the future. So before we get into the whole sci-fi stuff about how AI could affect SEO in the future, it's important to get context to understand that AI has been impacting SEO for years. It's not really new. There are plenty of AI content generation tools that actually use GPT to create content. The only thing that ChatGPT brought to the table is the chat interface. Now, when I say only, it is obviously like a game changer. It's really cool what it can do, but it doesn't really help with creating content because there are already tools that use literally the same model to produce content. I'm talking about Jasper and things like that. But as you probably noticed from using these tools, they're cool at first. Like at first you're like, oh my God, this is gonna change everything. But eventually you realize the content's really generic and not that great. So for me, I don't think that, at least in the near term, AI content is gonna be that impactful. Like I said, a lot of people are thinking ChatGPT is a game changer when it comes to SEO, but these tools have existed using the exact same model and they haven't changed SEO. All that's changed is the interface. In my opinion, AI content is already out there. It's not making a big impact in terms of the space. I don't see, AI generated content being this huge game changer because all it can produce is like generic, low quality content, which honestly most content online is that, written by humans. So it'll replace that content for sure, if it already has to a certain extent already, but it's not gonna replace like really amazing high quality content that already tends to rank in Google. So looking at exploding topics for a second, some of our best performing stuff are like these posts about different trends in industries like business and technology and D2C and SaaS, whatever. And we have these analysts that are experts in that space writing about these trends. They understand the space at a high level. They bring perspective and they're using tons of citations of studies and examples that a GPT model would have a lot of difficulty recreating. So we're sort of future-proofing ourselves against this AI content that's already coming out. That said, ChatGPT does have a lot of use cases when it comes to SEO. If you have like 100 keywords, you can ask it like filter these by certain criteria or remove those that are really similar or something like that. So it can help you in your day-to-day. But right now, I just don't see it being this huge impactful thing when it comes to SEO because all it can really do right now is produce mediocre content. Now behind the scenes at Google, AI has been used for years in terms of understanding whether people are happy with the searches and ranking the search results. So I don't see it impacting Google search that much either, just because Google's been using AI for a long time. So it's not like ChatGPT is like this revolutionary thing to them. Now, obviously, they're creating Google Bard. They don't want to get eaten by ChatGPT. But in terms of the ranking factors and things of that nature, AI has been included for like probably a decade at this point. So it's not something they're going to rush to try to like include more AI because they've been doing it already. So if you're in the content marketing space or the SEO space, I wouldn't be that worried about like ChatGPT just taking over your agency or like doing your SEO for you. It is useful in certain cases, extremely useful in others, but in terms of like creating content, it's really not good at creating something that's really valuable, in my opinion. It can create some cool stuff, like I have it for my friends. We send each other pirate poems all the time, and it creates some absolutely ridiculous poetry. Like sometimes it really does blow your mind what it can do. But if you ask it like, okay, cover like 20 trends that are impacting the marketing space, it's just gonna spit out generic stuff. So if you're writing generic stuff or you're publishing generic stuff, yes, this will have an impact. Just like all the AI tools that existed already, it might impact what you're doing, but it's not gonna be really impactful in terms of replacing really high quality content that's world-class. And that's really what I'm aiming to do. So to give an example, when I say world-class and I see amazing content, I'm not talking about like the Backlinko definitive guides, just something that AI can't do. So to give you an example, at Exploring Topics, we're creating these lists of alternatives. So it's a tool and then all the alternatives to this tool. So we have one for, let's say, like AMZ Scout, Helium 10, WGSN, a bunch of different providers and tools. And it does right now, at least, and I think it will for a while, require a human to sort of understand what makes these tools different. Like an AI can probably already, to a certain extent, understand the features of each and the pricing of each because that's just publicly available. But it takes a real expert to say, okay, not only are these the alternatives, but how do they compare to what we're talking about? And what are some of the pros and cons and use cases and things like that? And as of right now, that takes a human. So I don't see AI replacing that stuff. But like I said, most content is not threatened by AI, in my opinion. Like most of the content on the front page for most keywords are pretty good. That's how they got there. And if it was generic to begin with, or if it's just like a commodity thing that anyone could write about, like how old Justin Bieber is, then AI could do that, and they could have done that 4 years ago. That's nothing new. Like I said, the real thing that ChatGPT brought to the table was the interface, the ability to have this blank template, this palette that you can have it do almost anything you can imagine, or produce anything you can imagine. Writing using a GPT model has existed for years. The other change, of course, is that OpenAI now has all this money, all this funding, all this attention, so they're pushing out improvements like GPT-4, and the 5, 6, and 7, et cetera will come out now, when it might have been a lot slower in the past. But the real change is the interface, because these AI writing tools were already using the GPT model for years. They didn't like totally revolutionize SEO the same way ChatGPT, which basically adds an interface to GPT, is not gonna revolutionize SEO either. So for me, ChatGPT has a lot of cool sort of niche use cases when it comes to like, here's a list of pages, you know, give me those that overlap with each other in terms of the topic. Okay, it can do that. Or here's a list of different keywords in terms of search volume and keyword difficulty. Give me those that have the best ratio of that. Like, it's good at these sort of like niche use cases that would have taken a long time for a human. But in terms of like popping in your website and being able to say like, tell me how to rank for something, it definitely can't do that now, and I don't really see it being able to do that in the future. So yeah, if you are worried about, you know, like AI content being threatening to what you're producing, the number one piece of advice I would give you is try to add as much perspective as you can to your content, because AI doesn't have perspective, right? It just generates text based from its model. It's never done anything. Like, it's never eaten at a restaurant. It's never hit a baseball. It's never kissed somebody. It doesn't know what these things are like. So the more perspective you put in your content, the easier it'll be for you to separate from AI produced content. So, you know, if you're trying to rank for a keyword and someone's producing, you know, your competitors have produced 1,000 articles about that topic, if they're all AI generated, they'll be more or less the same, and they'll all lack that perspective that you can bring to the table. To summarize, I do think, you know, obviously there's gonna be more AI produced content that's coming out now that there's more attention on AI in general, especially because of ChatGPT. But I don't see it being this huge like inflection point game changer, because like I said, there have already been plenty of tools that already use GPT to create content, and they didn't change that much. Like, think of how long these tools have been around. And when you look at the search results, yeah, probably some of it's AI, but it's not really that much. Most of it is just really high quality content that's well researched, well referenced, and has some perspective. So if you're creating content that has all that stuff, I don't think you really need to worry about AI. Yeah, so in terms of advice I would give you to like future-proof your content against AI, it wouldn't be that different if AI content didn't exist. Like, create stuff that brings your unique perspective to the table, adds a lot of value, is super unique, and add your own voice and opinion and experience to the piece. And that's something that will instantly separate you from not only AI, but other people that are just sort of like regurgitating everything that's out there. Yeah, so that's my take on AI and SEO, and now I'd like to hear your perspective. Like, are you using AI tools to help with your SEO? If so, I'd love to hear how. Or do you think that it's just overhyped and SEO will always be pretty much the same as it's been? Either way, I'd like to hear your opinion, so leave a comment below.